Awaken your spirit, chosen ones. The knives they buried in your back will become the swords you rise with. There's a special kind of pain that comes when the very people you trusted are the ones who try to destroy you. They played their dirty games, thinking they could break you. But here's the truth. They were never ready for your comeback. They did everything in their power to tear you down, but the moment they realized you wouldn't fold, they tried to rewrite the narrative, playing the victim to avoid facing the truth. Fact: studies show that people who betray others often try to manipulate situations to appear as the victim, all in a desperate attempt to mask their guilt. In the end, it was never about you. It was about them projecting their insecurities onto you, hoping you'd crumble under the weight of their lies. But God saw everything. While they cried their fake tears and spun their stories, divine justice was already in motion. You've come too far to let them rewrite your story. Now it's time for the truth to be told. Number 1. They turned you into a scapegoat to hide their own insecurities. They didn't just betray you, they turned you into their personal scapegoat. It wasn't enough for them to hurt you behind closed doors. No, they needed to drag your name through the mud, shift the blame for every mess they created, and pin it all on you. It's the oldest trick in the book. If they can't outshine you, they'll try to ruin your reputation. They wanted everyone to believe you were the problem, the one causing the chaos, when in reality, they were drowning in their own insecurities. Here's the brutal truth. They weren't ready to face their own failures, so they made you the fall guy. It wasn't because you did something wrong, but because you represented everything they couldn't handle. Your strength? It threatened them. Your resilience? It made them feel small. So instead of owning up to their issues, they painted you as the villain, thinking it would keep the spotlight off their flaws. But here's where they messed up. They underestimated how much the truth has a way of coming out. People saw through their lies, and the cracks in their masks started to show. You weren't the broken one. They were. You didn't need to fight back or explain yourself. The more they blamed you, the more obvious it became that their story didn't add up. Now, while they scrambled to maintain their fake victim narrative, you've risen above the mess they tried to drag you into. Their attempts to tear you down only built you up. And while they tried to play innocent, everyone is starting to see who the real culprit was all along. The truth? It always has a way of catching up, and they're finally feeling it. Number 2, they're watching you succeed without them, and it's killing them. Nothing haunts someone more than watching the person they tried to destroy succeed without them. They thought they had you cornered, believing that their betrayal would crush you. They expected you to struggle, to fade away into the background while they moved on, untouched. But the twist they never saw coming? You didn't just survive, you thrived, and now they're stuck on the sidelines, forced to witness your success from a distance. They see you winning, growing, evolving, and it eats at them every single day. What they underestimated was your resilience. Instead of breaking under the weight of their deceit, you used it as fuel. Every door they tried to close, every obstacle they placed in your way, none of it could stop you. In fact, it only made your rise that much more powerful. They thought they'd get the satisfaction of seeing you fail, but instead, they're watching you live a life they could never even imagine for themselves. Here's the irony. They're now the ones struggling. They might not admit it, but every victory of yours feels like a defeat for them. It's not just about your success, it's the fact that they have to witness it without being a part of it. The very person they tried to erase is now shining brighter than ever, and they're stuck with the bitter taste of their own failure. While they're busy pretending nothing's wrong, deep down, they know they've lost. Not because you beat them at their own game, but because you never needed to play it in the first place. Your quiet success speaks volumes, and it's the loudest reminder that their betrayal was never enough to stop you. Now they're left with nothing but regret, watching you rise higher than they ever could. Number 3, they got too comfortable disrespecting you. They got way too comfortable disrespecting you. It started small, maybe a sly comment here and there, subtle digs at your confidence. At first you let it slide, thinking it wasn't worth the energy to respond. But they took your silence as permission, believing they could keep pushing boundaries without any consequences. They mistook your patience for weakness, thinking you'd never stand up for yourself. So they kept testing you, seeing how far they could go. Little did they know, you were paying attention the whole time. They thought they could say and do whatever they wanted, that you'd stay quiet and accept their behavior. And with each little insult, they got bolder. Maybe they even convinced themselves that you were the one with the problem, that you deserved the disrespect because you never pushed back. But here's where they messed up. Disrespect can only go so far before it meets a wall. And that wall was you finally deciding you've had enough. When you stopped tolerating their nonsense, the shift was undeniable. They weren't ready for it. They had gotten so used to treating you like a doormat that they didn't know how to handle it when you finally stood your ground. The moment you cut off their toxic behavior, they panicked. They realized too late that they had crossed a line they couldn't uncross. Now they're left confused, scrambling to understand how they lost the upper hand. But the truth is, they never had it. You were just giving them the chance to show who they really were, and they showed you everything. Their disrespect didn't break you, it only showed you who deserved to stay in your life. And now, they're the ones left out in the cold, realizing they messed with the wrong person. Number 4, their betrayal was a reflection of their own chaos. They played the victim because it was the easiest way to dodge accountability. After doing you dirty, they quickly realized that facing the consequences of their actions wasn't something they were equipped to handle. Instead of owning up to their betrayal, they flipped the script. Suddenly, they were the ones suffering, crying, and acting like they were the ones who got hurt. It was a masterful manipulation. Turn the tables, make you out to be the bad guy, and shift all the attention to their so-called pain. But here's the thing. Playing the victim only works for so long. At first, people might buy into their sob story. They might even start to question you, wondering if maybe you were the one who caused the drama. But the truth has a funny way of surfacing. No one can keep up a fake act forever, and little by little, the cracks start to show. Their victimhood was just a cover, a distraction to avoid dealing with the guilt that deep down they couldn't shake. You see, when people play the victim, they're not just trying to fool others. They're trying to fool themselves. They want to believe that they're not the villain, that somehow they're the ones who deserve sympathy. But underneath it all, they know the truth. They know what they did. And as time goes on, they start to feel the weight of their lies. The sympathy they once garnered begins to fade, and the real story becomes harder to hide. In the end, playing the victim only proves one thing. They're too weak to face the consequences of their actions. And while they wallow in their fake sorrow, you're rising above it all, stronger and more unbothered than they ever expected you to be. Number 5. Their guilt is eating them alive, but they'll never admit it. When they couldn't break you, they had no choice but to start downplaying your struggles. It wasn't enough that they tried to hurt you. They needed to make sure everyone believed that what you went through wasn't that big of a deal. The moment they realized you weren't falling apart, they started dismissing your pain as if it was insignificant. They couldn't stand the idea that you came out on the other side stronger, so they did the next best thing. They minimized everything you went through. They made comments like, "It wasn't that bad," or "You're overreacting," as if the betrayal they inflicted didn't matter. They acted like your resilience was proof that their actions didn't cause any harm. But let's be clear. Just because you didn't let their behavior destroy you doesn't mean it didn't cut deep. The difference is that you refused to let their actions define you. Instead of crumbling, you used the pain as fuel to rebuild yourself, brick by brick. What they fail to understand is that minimizing someone's struggle only exposes their own guilt. They don't want to face the fact that what they did had real consequences, so they try to diminish it, hoping it'll make them look less terrible. But here's where they got it wrong. By trying to downplay your experience, they only made themselves look worse. The more they brushed off your pain, the more obvious it became that they were running from the truth. Now, they're stuck in a cycle of denial. while you've moved on, unbothered and thriving. Their attempts to invalidate your journey didn't work because your strength speaks louder than their words ever could. They can downplay it all they want, but deep down, they know the truth, and that's what haunts them. Number 6. They tried to erase you, but you became stronger. Instead, they hated seeing you rise, but instead of admitting their jealousy, they threw shade. Every time you made progress, they had something slick to say, something to undercut your achievements. Whether it was a passive-aggressive comment or a backhanded compliment, they couldn't help themselves. Your success was a reminder of their own failures, and the only way they could deal with it was by downplaying your growth. It wasn't that they didn't see your hard work, they did. It just made them feel too small to admit it. This is how insecure people operate. They can't celebrate someone else's wins because it highlights everything they're lacking. So rather than clap for you, they nitpick. They'll say you got lucky, or that your success is temporary. They might even question your methods, acting like they would have done it better if given the chance. But the truth is, deep down, they know they can't match your drive, and that's what burns them the most. They can't handle the fact that you're moving forward while they're still stuck. Here's the brutal reality. They'll never give you the credit you deserve because they're too busy wallowing in their own envy. But what they don't realize is that their negativity only reflects their own insecurities. Their shade can't touch you because your success doesn't depend on their validation. You didn't rise to get their approval, and you sure aren't going to stop just because they're bitter about it. The more shade they throw, the higher you climb. They can try to dismiss your achievements all they want, but your progress speaks for itself. At the end of the day, their opinions are just noise, and you're too focused on your path to even notice. Let them stay mad. Your success isn't going anywhere. Number 7. The universe balanced the scales, and they felt the shift. The universe balanced the scales, and they felt the shift. This isn't just some abstract concept. It's a palpable force that shakes the very ground beneath their feet. After all their attempts to manipulate, deceive, and undermine you, the cosmic scales tipped in your favor. The laws of karma are not just poetic, they're real, and they work tirelessly to ensure that every action has a consequence. As you thrived and reclaimed your power, they couldn't help but sense the seismic change in their world. It's as if the universe conspired to expose their true nature. Every lie they told, every betrayal they committed now echoes back to them. The facade they constructed to protect themselves has started to crack, and the reality of their actions is spilling into their lives like a flood. Friends and allies are turning away, realizing the truth of who they are, and the weight of their dishonesty is becoming unbearable. They may try to dismiss it, but deep down, they know the universe is realigning things, and they're no longer on the winning side. This shift can be deeply unsettling for them. They thrived on control and manipulation, believing they could dictate the terms of their relationships and interactions. But as the scales of justice tipped, they become acutely aware of their powerlessness. The universe has a way of serving up lessons that are impossible to ignore, and they're now facing the consequences of their past actions. Their every move feels scrutinized, their every misstep magnified, as if the universe is holding them accountable for what they've done. While they might project confidence or nonchalance, the truth is, they're grappling with the anxiety of a crumbling empire built on deceit. The very ground they once stood on is shifting, and they can feel the unease creeping in. Their attempts to regain control seem futile in the face of a force much greater than themselves. The universe has aligned with your journey, and they are left watching as you rise, realizing that their days of manipulation and deceit are numbered. They are witnessing the poetic justice of life unfolding, and with every step you take towards your truth, they're reminded that their actions have consequences, and the universe will always find a way to balance the scales. Number 8. Their attempts to victimize themselves are falling apart. Their attempts to victimize themselves are falling apart, and it's a spectacle to behold. The narrative they constructed, a carefully woven tale of woe and helplessness, no longer holds up under scrutiny. They thought they could paint themselves as the innocent bystanders in their own chaotic stories. But the truth is, a powerful adversary. As you and others begin to peel back the layers of their deceit, the cracks in their facade become glaringly obvious. It's fascinating how they use their victim status as a shield, expecting sympathy and support while deflecting accountability for their actions. They thrived on the notion that if they could play the martyr, they could manipulate the narrative and escape the consequences of their behavior. Yet, with every feigned tear and exaggerated claim of suffering, they unwittingly dug themselves deeper into a pit of lies. Their audience is growing weary of the same tired performance. People are starting to see through the theatrics, recognizing that the true victim in this situation was never them, but rather those they've wronged. The irony is that their desperate attempts to garner sympathy have become a double-edged sword. Each time they try to twist the narrative in their favor, they only highlight their own desperation and lack of authenticity. They can't keep up the charade forever. Their inconsistencies and contradictions are surfacing, leaving them exposed. The very strategies they thought would safeguard them are now unraveling, revealing their true intentions and motivations. As their attempts to play the victim falter, you might find yourself feeling a mix of satisfaction and pity. They wanted to elicit compassion, but instead, they've become objects of ridicule. Their elaborate stories are crumbling, and what remains is a stark reminder that the truth always comes to light. In their effort to manipulate the narrative, they've lost sight of the fact that genuine strength lies in taking responsibility for one's actions, not in hiding behind a veil of false victimhood. As they flounder in their own deception, you stand firm, unyielded by their antics. Their unraveling serves as a testament to your resilience and the power of truth. Number 9. They projected their inadequacies onto you. They projected their inadequacies onto you, a common tactic for those who can't confront their own shortcomings. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions or acknowledging their failures, they chose to shift the blame, creating a distorted reflection of themselves in you. This projection often manifests as criticism, insults, or manipulation, all designed to make you doubt your worth and abilities. They sought to undermine your confidence, hoping that by highlighting your perceived flaws, they could mask their own deep-seated insecurities. It's a cowardly move, really, to take the things they dislike about themselves and pin them on someone else. This behavior reveals their inability to handle their vulnerabilities and their fear of facing the truth. By belittling you, they tried to elevate their own sense of self, but instead they exposed their own fragility. Their comments about your choices, your personality, or your ambitions were less about you and more about their desperate need to feel superior, even if just for a fleeting moment. You likely felt the weight of their words, the sting of their judgment. But what they failed to realize is that their projection was merely a reflection of their internal struggles. Every negative comment they made about you echoed their own fears of inadequacy and failure. They wanted you to shrink, to question your worth, so they could feel better about themselves. It's a cruel game, and the irony is that while they tried to diminish you, they ultimately revealed their own weaknesses. As you move forward, it's essential to reclaim your narrative. Acknowledge that their words don't define you. They are projections of their inner turmoil. You have the power to rise above their insecurities and embrace who you truly are. Recognize that their projections were not a reflection of your reality, but a manifestation of their fears. By standing firm in your truth, you render their attempts to undermine you utterly irrelevant. You are not the flaws they tried to impose on you. You are the strength that emerged from their weakness. Number 10. They're afraid of the person you've become. They're afraid of the person you've become, and that fear is palpable. It's not just that you've risen from the ashes of their betrayal. It's that you've emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-assured than ever before. This transformation is a direct challenge to their narrative, a living reminder that their attempts to undermine you failed spectacularly. They expected you to wither in the face of their actions, to shrink back into a version of yourself that was more manageable, more compliant. But instead you've blossomed into someone who recognizes their worth, and that terrifies them. Your growth shines a light on their insecurities. They've watched as you've set boundaries, reclaimed your narrative, and surrounded yourself with genuine people who uplift you. This new version of you is confident and resilient, and it serves as a constant reminder of the chaos they left in their wake. They can't handle the fact that you're thriving without them, so they resort to tactics that only reveal their own fears and limitations. It's almost amusing to observe how their attempts to manipulate or control you have only backfired, igniting a fire within you that they can't extinguish. Your success, happiness, and self-acceptance are like a mirror reflecting their own inadequacies, and that's why they're so intimidated. They know they can't compete with the person you've become because they were never worthy of your time or energy in the first place. As they grapple with their fear, it becomes clear that their judgment, their shame, and their regret are ultimately theirs to carry. You've stepped into your power, and that transformation has rendered them powerless. They are haunted by the realization that they underestimated you, and that fear will linger as a testament to their own shortcomings. You're no longer a shadow of who you once were. You are a force to be reckoned with, and that's something they will never be able to deny. Number 11. Their fake tears can't rewrite history. Their fake tears can't rewrite history, and that's a truth that cuts deep. When someone uses emotional manipulation as a tool to escape accountability, it's a desperate act that reveals more about their character than they might realize. Those crocodile tears are meant to elicit sympathy and redirect blame, but they fall flat when confronted with the reality of their actions. It's as if they think that crying can wash away the hurt they caused or convince others that they are the victims in this story. But emotions like guilt and shame are not easily wiped away by theatrics. You remember the moments of betrayal, the harsh words, the broken trust, the pain they inflicted. No amount of sobbing can erase the scars left behind. It's almost comical, watching them try to rewrite the narrative with manufactured sorrow, expecting everyone to buy into their act. They may momentarily pull on the heartstrings of the naive, but those who truly understand the situation see right through the facade. This is a clear sign of their unwillingness to face the consequences of their behavior. It's as if they believe that by crying, they can manipulate your emotions and make you forget the reality of what happened. Yet it's this very tactic that reinforces their cowardice. True accountability comes from acknowledging the pain they caused, not from performing for an audience. As you witness their desperate attempts to garner sympathy, you realize that you hold the power. Their tears may fall, but they can't drown out the truth. You've lived through their betrayal, and your experience is a testament to your strength. Their fake tears may be a momentary distraction, but they can never rewrite the history of their actions or diminish your resilience. You're moving forward, armed with the knowledge that you deserve authenticity and honesty, not the false theatrics of someone who refuses to take responsibility. In the end, the fallout from their actions speaks louder than any words they could offer. While they may have tried to manipulate the narrative, play the victim, and escape accountability, their cowardice only serves to highlight your strength. You've emerged from the chaos not just unbroken but transformed, shedding the weight of their betrayal and reclaiming your own power. The hurt they inflicted becomes a stepping stone, propelling you toward a brighter, more authentic future. Their attempts to shift blame and erase their wrongdoing reveal their true character, one marked by insecurity and selfishness. Meanwhile, you are learning to trust your instincts, set boundaries, and embrace the lessons that come from this experience. Each step you take away from their toxicity is a declaration of your worth. You are not defined by their actions or their narratives. You are the author of your own story, one that thrives on honesty, strength, and resilience. As you move forward, remember that their ghosting is a reflection of their inability to face the truth, not a testament to your value. You have the power to surround yourself with those who uplift and support you, creating a circle that nourishes your spirit. The universe has a way of aligning you with the right people who recognize your worth and honor your journey. So let their departure be the catalyst that propels you into a future filled with genuine connections, authentic love, and unwavering self-belief. You're not just surviving, you're thriving, and nothing can hold you back now. If you found value in this discussion about betrayal and resilience, consider subscribing to the channel. By hitting that subscribe button, you're joining a community dedicated to empowerment and growth. Don't miss out on future content that can inspire and support your journey. Join us and let's navigate this path to strength and self-discovery together. Your story deserves to be heard, and we're here for you every step of the way.